Welcome back to the channel, and in this video, I'll be predicting pretty much the full card of fights for Bellator 300. I'm just looking through some of these fights. I'm like, do I really want to deep dive on these, or is there really anything to deep dive on? And yeah, so I wanted to do the full card, to be honest, but I'm not going to do the full card. It's like really not worth my time right now, I feel, but hey, it is what it is. But yeah, look, at the first fight, you got a 0-0 guy, like two guys with debuting that look like both scrubs. One guy look like he's 25 years old. I mean, the guy, he's 25, but he look like he's 40 years old. Like, that's already enough for me to say, like, yeah, I ain't picking a side in that one. I'm looking at Tapology and people going, like, way to the guy side of the hokey, but, like, he's shorter, got less experience, but they both scrubs right now. Just proving otherwise. They got a lot to prove. But I ain't picking them. I ain't dealing with that. Next fight we got in women's flyweight division. We got Ilara Joanne versus Jenna Bishop in high flyweight. This one right here. I'm going low confidence Jenna Bishop to beat Ilara Joanne. I just feel like Jenna Bishop hasn't fought the same level of competition as Ilara Joanne, but I think she is the more decorated grappler, and I think she should be able to control the situations and maybe a late sub, but I'm going like a decision here. Just use her grappling to win the positional battle and win the grappling exchanges and get her hand raised. So in this one, I got Jenna Bishop via decision. Now to our next one. We have, next one we have in the middleweight division, we got Romero Cotton versus Grant Neal. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going average confidence Grant Neal to beat Romero Cotton. I feel like Grant Neal just has had more time to fight a better competition, has had more time to, develop himself, coming off a good win over, a pretty solid light heavyweight. I think he, for the most part, pretty much dominated that fight. So that's a big win. Whereas Romero Cotton, been fighting tomato cans, then he got to step up in competition for the guy, similar skill and talent, but a little bit more polished than him, and he got dominated in his last fight. So I think Grant Neal's going to come in here. I think he's going to be able to address the wrestling of Romero Cotton. I think he'll be able to strike him and then wear him down and be able to out-wrestle him. Maybe get a submission, maybe get a stoppage. But I'm going to lean to a decision for Grant Neal here. Just, that experience is going to come through heavy. He has had his losses and has had his experience against better competition. And, now it's starting to show for Grant Neal, whereas Romero Cotton, I don't think he's going to make that big jump just yet. So I'm going Grant Neal here to get a decision victory. So in this one, I got Grant Neal via decision. Now to our next one, we have in the welterweight division, we got Muhammad Berkhamov versus Herman Tirado. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going high confidence Muhammad Berkhamov to beat this dude. I ain't saying his name, like, yeah, I ain't doing that much on you, but yeah, high confidence Muhammad Berkhamov. I just feel like the other dude, he's like primarily a grappler, seem, and I feel like Muhammad Berkhamov should be more than prepared to deal with it. I don't think his grappling nothing spectacular. I don't think he has no amazing offensive takedown, no amazing cardio, no amazing thing, or nothing substantial enough that I feel will have great success against Muhammad Berkhamov. I see a second round TKO for Muhammad Berkhamov to probably focus on stuffing takedowns and finding his range in the first round, just out striking him and picking him apart, and then set him up for the second round, and then the second round put him away. So in this one, I have Muhammad Berkhamov via second round TKO. Now to our next one, we have in the light heavyweight division, we got Dovlazan Yaksi Muradov versus Marcij Rozanovsky. And how I feel about this right here is I'm going low confidence Dovlazan Yaksi Muradov. Yeah, Dovlazan Yaksi Muradov, low confidence here. I think Marcij Rozanovsky is a decent fighter. And he definitely has a good chance here, but I think Dovlazan Yaksi Muradov has had more chances to develop in his weight class. I think he'll be able to address the wrestling, and just be the more technical striker. And I think he wins a real close decision. That's what I think happens here. So in this one, I got Dovlazan Yaksi Muradov via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the heavyweight division, we got Davion Franklin versus Slim Trabelsi. And yeah, with this one, I'm going average confidence Slim Trabelsi to win. There's been a lot of talk about him, with Cyril Gane's coach was Fernando. I forget the dude's name, but a lot of talk about him. How they kind of just used him and brought him in for Cyril Gane. I think they didn't pay him. I think they didn't get what they said they were going to give him to get him a contract, give him that. Yeah, he got used and was a pretty solid talent fighter. I mean, he still is a pretty solid talent fighter. This is definitely a tough test for him, at least on the feet, or definitely only on the feet. Got to deal with a explosive, aggressive fighter like Davion Franklin who will swing for the fences. But if he can get by that and work it to the ground, this should be his fight to win. And I think like a second round submission, the guy survived the storm. But once he gets past that storm and is able to get him down, I think he'll slice through him like butter. Exhausted Davion Franklin, who has exhausted himself just swinging for the fences. Take his back, rear naked choke him. Second round, Slim Trabelski. So in this one, I have Slim Trabelski via second round submission. I'm saying Trabelski like it's Trabelsi, but hey, it is what it is. We move on next day. But next one we got in the featherweight division, we got Henry Corrales versus Kai Kamaka III. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going low confidence Kai Kamaka III to beat Henry Corrales. A little bit of a shocker, But yeah, Henry Corrales like pushing 40. I know he's on a good winning streak right now, better than what Kai Kamaka the third is on right now. But Kai Kamaka III is a pretty underrated talent. I don't think Corrales can go out there and try to wrestle him anything. I think Kai Kamaka III will have more success trying to wrestle Corrales. But again, I'm not saying he'll have a whole lot because Corrales, like traditionally, has had pretty decent wrestling defense unless he went in there, with the cream de la creme, and then they'll make his wrestling defense look pretty easy. But everyone else, like, they probably would struggle, and he'll be that, like, I don't know. He'll be that grown man out there. Like, he might not be the most technical guy out there, but he'll be a full-grown man fighting these, like, 20-year-olds, early 30 years old, and he'll just be, like, stuffing the takedowns and putting hands on them. That's pretty what the best I can say. He won't look to be the prettiest guy, but he'll be out there, like, showing, like, there's a different maturity level. Like, this is the grown man, and y'all just talented kids. Y'all might be more technical, but I'm going to show y'all some life. But, yeah, Corrales is a tough dude. He's a fighter for sure. But age gets us all, and I think he's on good momentum. But I do think this is a good time for Kai Kamaka III, a fighter who I saw a lot of talent in, to, show some talent in. And win a close decision over Henry Corrales and find success in wrestling a little bit, just a little bit. The feet just be a little bit faster, a little bit sharper, and show some toughness and win the biggest win of his career, in my honest opinion. So in this one, I got Kai Kamaka III via decision. Now on to our next fight. We have, I'm going to skip this one. Sergio Casio versus Jesse Roberts. Really didn't look too much into that at all. I think I skimmed that. So pass on that. Again, I'm not doing a full prediction. I was thinking about doing a full card, but like, do I got really time for it? I don't. Next one we have in the featherweight division, women's featherweight division, we got Leah McCourt versus Sarah McMahon. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going low confidence Sarah McMahon. Could be higher confidence here, but Sarah McMahon did have that point of her career where she was struggling with submission grapplers and stuff, and she is like 50 years old and like a mother of 5. I'm exaggerating about the mother of 5, but she definitely, and a little bit about the age, but she's up there in age. She is a mother, but she has been, making a resurgence. So I'm going Sarah McMahon here, but I ain't putting a whole lot of confidence in her. Maybe the overs. Maybe some Sarah McMahon decision, but it probably ain't going to be no good eyes on that either. But the over is probably going to be good, and, regardless of who wins, it's probably going to be a fight that's going to go over sometime. So, but yeah, as far as putting any confidence in any particular fighter in this one, not putting that. So, Sarah McMahon versus Leah McCourt. I don't feel like Leah McCourt is that big of a striking threat, so I feel like Sarah McMahon should be good there. I feel like both primarily end up being grapplers, especially Sarah McMahon. She's a wrestler, so she always end up being a grappler. She does have some big power, but she never for once confused herself to be some striker or confuse anyone to think she's a striker. So probably both primarily grapplers. Sarah McMahon's the bigger, much better wrestler, so she should be able to win the positional advantage. It's just more so, can she get a finish? Can she maintain that top control? And I think she'll be able to maintain that top control and get that takedown or get those takedowns and win a decision victory over Leah McCourt. So in this one, I got Sarah McMahon via decision. Another fight I'm skipping, Serrano versus Garcia. 3-0 versus 2-0, amateur fights. Next fight, amateur fights here, but bantamweight division, we got Bryce Meredith versus Miguel Pimbert. And I'm going to go average commentary. Again, dealing with amateur level fighter. He got probably a solid wrestling background. But I've seen a couple times now in the Bellator over the last 2 years where these guys come with these minus 1,000, minus 3,000, they get upset. So to guys that look like they were supposed to come in there and lay down for them. Because maybe they expected them to lay down, they didn't fully commit to it, or maybe they just weren't that good to begin with. They just got a whole lot of hype. But yeah, I'm going average. Average is more than good enough. Average, you should win and you will win. But am I going to put high investment in you, or am I going to put lock investment on you? Or if the odds are trash, I'm going to try to make a value out of it where it's not. That's where average confidence kind of sits at. So average confidence is pretty good, especially for this. So Bryce Meredith here to beat Miguel Pimbert. just the better overall fighter. And wrestler, you know, decorated wrestler, wrestling, ground and pound, and submission. So I'm gonna go first round submission for Bryce Meredith. So in this one, I got Bryce Meredith via first round submission. Now to our next one, we have in a catchweight at 160 between Dmitry Herinchenko versus Justin Montalvo and high flyweight this one right here. I'm going decision. I'm going average confidence Dmitry Herinchenko to beat Justin Montalvo, and I'm thinking decision. Justin Montalvo is a solid fighter as he showed in like his last fight. You know, another great talent. You know, he was able to be scrappy in there with him. You know, go some rounds with him. So I'm expecting to do the same. I don't think he's like the most amazing technical talent or the greatest gift himself. I just think he's a tough, scrappy fighter who's going to give, you know, whoever they put in front of him some work. But I think after this fight, they should probably step him down in competition so, you know, he has a chance to really evolve as a fighter instead of feeding him to good talent. Like, he's not a bad fighter himself, so he's 5-1, 5-2 potentially. He might win. Like, I'm not saying he count him out winning, but most likely will end up 5-2. And I think at that time, it's time to take him a different path so he himself can evolve as a fighter. And I think he does have at least the intangibles, like mentally, you know, he's a fighter. And, you know, you can add the skills on and chisel those out and then give him some fights, give him some, like, 5 more fights. Just let his experience grow, let his skills grow instead of keep, you know, feeding him and using him as a rubric or using him as a measuring stick. In a way, you're just going to ruin a fighter who I think could be a decent fighter. I don't think he's going to be no amazing talent, but I definitely think he's a fighter that can hang eventually and, you know, stick around in the sport, in the divisions, or, you know, decent rankings or decent positions in, like, you know, middle to low to pack kind of fighter. And who knows, maybe exceeds expectations. But yeah, I don't like the fact that he's kind of using him as a measuring stick right now, or he just maybe just accepting fights. So he ended up being a measuring stick. But yeah, going ultimately here, I'm going Dmitry Herinchenko via decision. Now to our next one, we got in the I'm not doing that one. So we got into I'm not doing that one. The next fight we got in one of our main events, basically. You got 2 title fights, and you got is this the finale for the tournament? So I guess you got 3 title fights on this card. But first title fight, we got in the women's flyweight division. We got Liz Carmouche versus Ilima-Lei Macfarlane. And going low confidence here. They both were former training partners or something for a long time. So I don't know what was learned in that time. And the fact that Ilima-Lei Macfarlane is pretty much a lot younger than Liz Carmouche. I think Ilima-Lei Macfarlane is like, you know, early, mid-30s, well, early 30s probably. But let me double check. She feels like she's in her 30s. Yeah, she early, mid-30s. She's 33, so, you know, sitting right in her prime. She did lose to Velasquez, who Liz Carmouche beat twice. I think she finished her twice, too. Yep, finished her twice. But Carmouche is, I thought she was older, 39, so 6 years different. Ain't too crazy, but Carmouche has definitely had a lot more mileage. I will say that for sure. A lot more mileage, you know, at the deep end. But I'm going to go Carmouche, low confidence here to beat Ilima-Lei Macfarlane. I don't like the fact that they train together because you don't know what has been imparted, who was getting the better who in training session, and or if one fighter's going to go light on the other one because they did this or that, or, you know, different thing. Like, training with somebody experienced definitely creates different fights than they would have been if there wasn't no experience. If there was no experience, I'd probably say Carmouche average confidence, but the fact that there is definitely experience there, who knows? Maybe it's a good experience. Maybe Carmouche was just tooling her muscle around the whole time, but who knows? Maybe she knows some submission she's open for. Maybe she knows this, maybe she doesn't know that. But the fact that they train prior, I'm expecting a decision. Both women know each other very well, so I think they'll be able to address strengths of the other. But I think ultimately Carmouche's strength and her ability to get her down and get control time, that physicality, and also that experience, that knowledge will allow her to get her hand raised over Ilima-Lei Macfarlane. And I think she'll be able to neutralize Ilima-Lei Macfarlane's guard game for the most part. Well, for as much as she needs it. And I think she grinds out a decision over it. I think this is a very competitive fight. But I do think Carmouche will have large spaces of time where she's on top and controlling. So in this one, I have Liz Carmouche via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in our co-main event in the women's featherweight division, we got Cris Cyborg versus Cat Zingano in high flyweight this one right here. I'm going high confidence Cris Cyborg to beat Cat Zingano. Cat Kazagano wrestling could be a little bit issue. I feel like Chris Cyborg does kind of be negligent on the defense, I guess, because she feel like she's so much more dominant than these other women. And Kazagano is a former 35er, where Cyborg has always been a 45er. And a lot of crazy thing about Cyborg. I'm only gonna mention one crazy thing about Cyborg for the most part. Is that she really has been on top of this women's MMA game longer than Jon Jones has been top of the male MMA game. I think she won her belt in like 2009. Jon Jones won his in like 2011. Like she beat Gina Carano in 2009, and look at where she's at now, 2023, and still at the top of the game. And even more before then, she was fighting. She's been winning stuff, but I think her real claim to the top of this game was in 2009, and she's been like since Strikeforce champion, been a championship level fighter and champion since then. And Jon Jones was like 2011 till now, but obviously different level. Jon Jones winning UFC belts, she's winning Strikeforce, but Strikeforce at the time was the woman's thing, and but I think her big area where you kind of think is she won the UFC belt, but obviously Amanda Nunes came around and beat her and took her GOAT spot. But if she had not fought Amanda Nunes, it'd be kind of still hard. It'd be real hard to say who's the women's GOAT, because like Nunes has lost like several times, whereas all this time Cyborg has only lost once. But amazing career nonetheless. I think she without doubt the number 2 greatest women's MMA fighter of all time. But yeah, going in with Kazagano. I feel like Kazagano really got much on the feet to offer. It's really gonna be trying to go for takedowns. I think Chris Cyborg gonna be real. Why am I talking like this? I'm getting tongue tied, brain tied. But yeah, I think she's gonna be more than prepared for what Zagano's bringing. This pace and desperado wrestling. I think Chris Cyborg gonna be a stuffer, be bigger, be physical, probably muscle out of positions, and then just look to crack her, press her, and just really just tee off on her. And I think she gets a late second round TKO over Kat Zagano. So in this one, I got Chris Cyborg via second round TKO. Now over to our main event, we have in the lightweight division for the undisputed lightweight title, we got Usman Nurmagomedov versus Brent Primus. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going lock confidence Usman Nurmagomedov to beat Brent Primus. And unlike Mansour Banawi, Usman Nurmagomedov is the real deal. So lock confidence Usman Nurmagomedov. I don't think his wrestling at all from Brent Primus will be any issue. The grappling at all won't be any issues, especially if you can't get it to the ground. You know, he's like 40 years old, going with one of the greater talents in this weight class, and one of the greater talents in the sport right now. I think Usman Nurmagomedov easily addressed any grappling attempts or wrestling attempts, keeps it on his feet, and just picks apart Brent Primus. He's gonna be too old, too short, too slow, and I think Usman Nurmagomedov just picks him apart and put a clinic on him. And I think he gets him out of the second round TKO. Just really teeing off on Brent Primus, chew him up, then break him down, and Brent Primus is gonna not have any answers for what he's bringing. So in this one, I have Usman Nurmagomedov via second round TKO. And that concludes my fight predictions for pretty much the full card of fights for for Bellator 300. So pretty much the full card of fights for Bellator 300. And you could say Nurmagomedov versus Primus, but it's just called Bellator 300. So that's my predictions. That's the video. Bellator 300. And that's the video. Bellator 300. And that's the video. Bellator 300. And that's the video. Bellator 300. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And come back for more videos. Peace.